very good afternoon, Excellencies, distinguished philanthropists, business leaders, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by thanking the organizers, Philanthropy Asia Alliance and Temasek Trust, for convening this timely and important gathering at the moment when the world is searching for new ideas, new partnerships, and new models of development. This summit's theme, Asian Innovation for Global Good, asks exactly the right question at exactly the right time. Across the world today, governments are confronting the same fundamental challenge: how to continue growing their economies while reducing emissions, strengthening resilience, and ensuring that development remains inclusive. It is a challenge that does not wait. And it is a challenge that is especially defining for resource-rich economies, states that have built their prosperity on what lies beneath the ground and must now decide what to build it on next. Sarawak is one of those states. We have oil, we have natural gas, we have hydropower, we have forests, and a strong industrial base. The conventional path was available to us. The easy path would have been to stay on it. The question I am often asked is, why choose a harder path? The honest answer is that this was never a choice between convenience and difficulty. It was a choice between short-term returns and long-term resilience, between what earns well this decade and what builds something that outlast us. Ladies and gentlemen, when I became Premier in 2017, we began repositioning Sarawak towards a high-value, innovation-driven, and sustainable economy. This was later formalized through our post-COVID Development Strategy 2030, launched in 2021, which sets clear targets, including achieving high income status and reaching an economic output of USD 70 billion by 2030. Yet by 2022, only a year after the strategy was launched, Sarawak had already crossed the World Bank threshold for high income status, achieving this milestone well ahead of our 2030 target. We did not do this by extracting more, we did it by building differently. Under our post-COVID development strategy, PCDS 2030, we structured our future around three pillars. That is economic prosperity, an inclusive society, and environmental sustainability. These pillars are pursued through our green economy, digital economy, and circular economy agenda. Last year, they are reinforced by 3 policy frameworks. That is the Sarawak Sustainability Blueprint, the Sarawak Energy Transition Policy, and Sarawak Hydrocarbon Economy Roadmap. These are operating frameworks with legislation, institutions, investment targets, and deadlines behind every commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share where we stand today. Let me speak about what is already happening on the ground, not projections, but outcomes. On energy, from 2010 to 2022, Sarawak reduced our grid emission intensity by 73% through a deliberate shift towards renewable hydropower as the backbone of our electricity power. We have already exceeded our 2030 target of 60% renewable energy in installed capacity. Our Balai hydroelectric project, 1,285 megawatts, will be commissioned by 2030. We are scaling to 10 gigawatts of total installed capacity by 2030 and 15 gigawatts by 2035. But these large-scale projects are only half the story. The real impact is felt in places like the remote settlement of Long Lama in the interior of Sarawak called Baram. For generations, they relied on diesel generators, expensive, noisy, and unreliable. Through our Sarawak Alternative Rural Electrification Scheme, SARES, we work with the community to install a solar-powered microgrid. Today, the children can study at night, local entrepreneurs can run refrigerators for their small businesses, and there is a health clinic with reliable power. This is what the energy transition looks like on human scale. It is not just about megawatts, it's about empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond energy, Sarawak is pursuing a broader transformation, growing the economy while steadily reducing emissions. Today, Sarawak is already a net negative state. Our forests and land absorb more carbon than our economy emits. The challenge before us is therefore not simply to achieve net zero, but to remain net negative as our economy continues to grow and industrialize. That is why our Sarawak net zero strategy and carbon plan focuses on changing how we grow, reducing emissions while creating new industries, generating quality jobs, strengthening economic competitiveness, and supporting long-term sustainable growth. We believe decarbonization is not a constraint on growth. It is a pathway to more competitive, resilient, and future-ready development. This approach is most visible in how we are transforming industry. I am proud to announce that the next month, we are launching the Bintulu Transitioning Industrial Cluster, TIC, in partnership with the World Economic Forum in Kuching, Sarawak. This is not just about decarbonizing one plant or one facility at a time. It is about rethinking and transforming entire industrial system for a lower carbon future. The Bintulu-Samalaju corridor already hosts gas, liquefied natural gas, LNG, petrochemicals, hydrogen, fertilizers, and renewable energy. The TIC coordinates these under one low-carbon industrial vision: hydrogen production, carbon capture, utilization and storage, circular economy, and digital manufacturing operating as a system. This reduces risk and accelerates adoption. And we are not doing this alone. Our partnership with the World Economic Forum for the Bintulu TIC is crucial. They bring a global network of experts to transfer knowledge and create new partnership opportunities, ensuring the cluster is built on world-class standards for sustainability and governance. This provides a degree of confidence that de-risks investment and accelerates progress. It signals to the world that Sarawak is not just adopting best practices, we are co-creating them. On hydrogen, I will be candid. Two of our larger international hydrogen projects are being restructured. The global environment has been more challenging than anticipated. Therefore, we are building the domestic foundation deliberately, anchoring hydrogen in public transport and local demand first, before scaling export ambitions. For example, our Kuching urban transportation system will run on clean hydrogen with the Blue Line pilot expected before year-end. Domestic demand anchors come first, and the export case follows credibly from there. In other words, this is what a real-time strategy looks like: adjusting without abandoning direction. On nature, Sarawak's forests remain one of our greatest strengths, with over 1.6 million hectares of certified sustainable forestry and extensive reforestation already underway, with more than 50 million trees planted. We are also the first Malaysian state to issue forest carbon licenses to support nature-based carbon market projects through forest restoration initiatives. At the same time, we are developing the Sarawak Carbon Registry, a full carbon crediting and tracking infrastructure built on transparency, verification, and credible governance. I am proud that in collaboration with the World Bank, Sarawak completed the world's first climate change institutional assessment for a sub-national government. Earlier this year, the report affirms our progress while providing a clear roadmap to strengthen climate governance, reflecting Sarawak's unique constitutional responsibilities over land, forestry, and natural resources under the Malaysian Agreement 1963. Ladies and gentlemen, where we are looking next? Of course, the answer is technology as capability. To secure a green and competitive future, we know we must build not only new industries, but also new capabilities. That is why I have made it a personal mission to position Sarawak at the frontier of emerging technologies, semiconductors, satellite systems, and advanced computing. Because these are the tools that will make our climate commitments verifiable, our governance precise, and our economy genuinely competitive in the decades ahead. Our semiconductor company, SMD Semiconductor, is now collaborating with UK partners on satellite-grade semiconductor chips and the development of Sarawak's first low Earth orbit satellite. Its purpose is practical, supporting forestry monitoring, Earth observation, carbon tracking, disaster management, and maritime surveillance through real-time data and analytics. These technologies are not separate from our climate agenda. They are what make climate commitments measurable, verifiable, and operationally credible. I believe the future will increasingly be shaped by real-time data, distributed system, and advanced computing capabilities. Governments and economies that can monitor, analyze, and respond quickly will hold a significant strategic advantage. Sarawak is therefore investing in technology not for prestige, but for capability, to govern better, protect our natural assets more effectively, strengthen resilience, and participate meaningfully in the global knowledge economy. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are building today are for the future, socially too. A green economy is not truly successful unless it benefits rich people. That is why we are the first and only state in Malaysia to provide free tertiary education to all Sarawakians through our free tertiary education scheme funded by the state. Through Sarawak Foundation, we are expanding a network of international secondary schools offering the Cambridge curriculum for high potential students from low-income backgrounds across Sarawak, with campuses already operating and growing statewide. Sustainable transformation requires strong social capital, and long-term collaboration across government, industry, academia, development partners, and, of course, philanthropy. That is why Sarawak is strengthening the ecosystem for lasting progress in education, innovation, clean technology, community energy access, and carbon market development. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share what Sarawak and Singapore have. Perhaps the most powerful example of our strategy in action is happening right here in partnership with Singapore. For years, we have held a bold vision to become the battery of ASEAN, using our renewable resources to power a cleaner future for the entire ASEAN region. It's an ambition that requires not just energy, but trust and collaboration. Today, that vision is no longer just an ambition. In one of the first live expressions of the ASEAN power grid, we are building a green energy corridor connecting two regions. This regional interconnection allows clean electricity to flow across borders. The commercial framework, the policy architecture, and the technical groundwork are all in progress. This is a supply relationship being built between two economies that both understand what energy security and net zero transition require. I think of it less as a transaction, but more as shared infrastructure. What we are building together, the interconnection, the certification system, and above all, the trust, has value beyond any single power agreement. In other words, what we are proving with this relationship is that a sustainable, interconnected Southeast Asia is not just possible, it is already under construction. Ladies and gentlemen, this partnership with Singapore is, to me, a powerful model. And we are confident it is just the beginning of deeper collaboration across new sectors as we build a green economy together. Ladies and gentlemen, philanthropy today is no longer measured only by charity, but by its ability to catalyze long-term change, supporting innovation, strengthening institutions, and accelerating solutions that markets alone may take longer to support. In Sarawak, this includes strengthening the ecosystem needed for sustainable transformation, from research and talent development to clean technology, community resilience, and low-carbon industries. Ultimately, our goal is balance and inclusive growth, where government, industry, academia, and philanthropy work together to build a more sustainable and resilient future. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, we are living through a period of profound global transition. Energy systems are being reshaped, supply chains are being reorganized, digital infrastructure is evolving rapidly, and climate governance is becoming central to economic competitiveness and national resilience. In moments like this, what matters most is not size or wealth alone, but clarity of purpose, the ability to think long-term, adapt with speed, and act with conviction. Sarawak does not claim to have energy answer, but we know what we are building and why we are building it. I believe that economic growth, environmental stewardship, and social inclusion can advance together, and that even a relatively small region can contribute meaningfully to shaping Asia's future. This transition is not only about energy or technology. It is about building a future that is more resilient, more inclusive, and more sustainable for the next generation. Government will build the foundations, markets will drive scale, and philanthropy can help unlock new ideas and wider opportunity. Together, they can accelerate meaningful and lasting progress. Ladies and gentlemen, the door to Sarawak is open, and we welcome all who wish to work with us to shape a future that is cleaner, fairer, more resilient, and more hopeful for our region and beyond. Thank you very much.